Good start. Owl is now behaving. Meeting L3 for speaker and microphone. Participant. Nobody else is in yet.
Yay.
I'm gonna set it like that, so you'll be able to see them.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm gonna take these away.
Trying to get hot water yet?
Yeah, hot water. I got the gas guys were super nice. I called them. They came out on so Tuesday morning I had a conversation with Liberty. And I was like, look, I was like, yeah, you guys only one appliance flooded. I have 2 more appliances that are good to go. They're like, oh, I guess, oh, really? I'm like, can you send someone out to turn my gas back on? So they came out and basement was dry at that point, right? So he of course turned it on and looked at things. And he's like, that's hot water. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, it's on the wall. I was like, yeah, it wasn't touched. He's like, oh, okay. So then we looked at the furnace and the gas guy looked at the furnace and he's like, well, I won't red tag it. Because it was basically, it gave me codes, right? It turned on and threw an E18 at me or whatever. So he's like, so I won't red tag it, which is huge. So they don't have to come back to do stuff. And then he made sure my hot water heater worked. And then he made it as far as the kitchen. He's like, oh, it's a new stuff. I don't need to worry about that. And then walked away. So gas is back, hot water's back. But yesterday morning, or what day is today, Wednesday?
Yes.
This morning's read a check for new furnace.
Oh, no.
Furnace was toast.
Get a new furnace? Even though.
They didn't red tag it, but it hits the bottom half and hit the control panel, blower.
Yeah.
And when Cornerstone looked at it this morning, he's like, look, I can dig into it for 3,500 and $4,000. Or
Larry Wright got me a new board for the furnace on Cleveland.
yeah, oh, nice. That's great.
And then he got me a new board for the water heater too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this was because the code is throwing out Cornerstone. It's like, it's not. And then they said the gas guy said that anything that floods over half, you need to replace everything electronic below that half. So,
Yeah, I thought I was in for a replacement, but
There's
I got
Pete.
these.
I was just about to check if I have
The
the
furnace is
one.
operational at Cleveland now.
that's great. Just a new board. Was your blower above it or below it?
I think above it,
Yeah, so
Where's Kate?
my blower was flooded down low.
but nothing was.
No. It should be fine. I think, yeah. I was like, all right, fine.
Well, I wasn't there, but Lorraine said, he goes, geez, you still got.
He said, yup. Awesome. Yeah. Did you get much water?
It was.
On Church Street, it was nip and tuck.
Yeah.
The sump pump was doing us okay for a while, and then I thought it was the volume of water was kind of tilted to one side. And then me and the kids got the shop vac going because water was making it into the laundry room.
Yep.
And into the other part of the basement. The basement proper was getting up to about ankle deep.
Yeah.
We're like, holy crap. And then me and the kids were hauling the bucket, the
Yeah.
shop vac bucket up to the backyard. I gotta check that sump pump. See if it's operational, so
Oh,
disconnected, so I just put it back together, plugged it back in, and it, started pumping, and I can watch the down on the wall,
no way.
just because it made it to the water heater, and blew out the pilot light, then it was creeping up.
Yeah.
And then it started creeping up.
It's sweet. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a sump, and that's kind of like, we thought about it years ago. We'll probably do a new one soon.
Yeah, Church Street, or Cleveland Avenue doesn't have the sump,
Charging. All right.
but I'm gonna
That's all
get
right.
one in there.
Computer's working, that's what matters.
Okay. Let's see here. Here, we're just making sure we have a couple dial for the board that I will figure that out.
Caitlin and Pete are on.
Hi, Gavin. Hi, Pete.
Good there.
Okay.
Can you guys hear okay? It's a little funny down here.
Yeah, there's a times where you freeze up a little bit, but
Okay. That's probably the internet connection down here.
mhm,
We will do the best we can.
okay.
So you folks know out there, if you're going to be speaking at all, this is the microphone, that's on that table. I'm hoping it picks up okay. Otherwise, we may have to have you just come up to the table and just to speak, because it might just, they might not be able to hear you on Zoom. So, Tim, that applies to you as well.
Okay,
This is Conrad. Is Mike on? No, I do, Mark. Thanks. Sorry, bye. But you can transpose numbers, that's better.
That would help. Paper.
We'll show or he won't.
I'm just kidding.
I was just seeing if I could locate Mike, guys. He hasn't showed. Andy's out, so it's just me sitting at a table by myself right now. So that was what I was hoping for a little company up here, but it'll be just me. All right. Are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and get started. This up here is the ZBA board. We are here for a zoning board of appeals meeting. There's a public hearing about an application for 90 East Main Street for an electronic messaging center that has to do with the number of colors being used. The general flow for this public hearing is what happens is that we ask the code enforcement officer, Tim, to talk about what the application was and why it's turned down. Then we ask the applicant to tell us why you feel like it should be approved. And then we ask for public comment. Okay. And then following public comment, a lot of times we roll into any sort of meeting where the ZBA board discusses or asks you guys questions about things like that. Okay.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Great. You can't see him on Zoom, but the ZBA members we have present is I'm Conrad Stuntz on the chair. I have Pete Beekman and Caitlin Gollinger on Zoom as the three ZBA members present. Also in the room, we have Jenny Reed, recording secretary. We have Tim Nolan, the code enforcement officer. And we have, you don't mind telling me your names so we know who's who?
Oh, I'm Dorothy Durper. I'm the general manager for the Best Western University Inn.
Great. And you just names, just to know public.
Judy Taylor.
Judy Taylor, thank you. Awesome. Great, alrighty, let's go ahead and look at this, okay?
There you
Hey,
I was in the other meeting for 10 minutes before I realized I was in the wrong one.
oh, sorry, Mike. Just joining us, Mike Snow is another member of the zoning board of appeals. Like, oh, this is interesting, this is what I found out. So on Zoom, we have Pete and Caitlin, okay? And so we're just about here, Tim, about the denial on, this is for the Best Western EMC.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Tim.
Can
Yep.
they hear
They're
me?
saying yes.
Yep.
Okay. May 23rd, 2024. I denied the permit application for the Best Western located at 90 East Main Street in the village of Canton, New York. And they proposed a EMC sign with a color they wanted to have a color photograph for their EMC sign, is that correct?
Yes.
And I denied it on the let me see, 32566E electronic messaging center, EMC signs, including LEDs. D, colors, EMC messages, or a copy shall not be more than 2 colors per message. So I'm assuming that when you have a color photograph, you're gonna have more than 2 colors.
Okay.
And that's the basis of mine.
That's where we are. Okay, great. I think that's pretty clear. Basically, the code allows for 2 colors per message and the applicant pitched more. All right, so go ahead and talk to us about what you're trying to do and why you feel like this should be a use variance.
So since COVID, I mean, we are struggling to bring customers into the building. It's primarily to advertise for the restaurants. That is where we are looking for the most usage from the sign. And letting people know that it is a public restaurant. It seems to be a difficult challenge to get people to understand that you don't have to stay at a hotel to use the restaurant lounge. So that's our primary goal with the sign. We are also want to be part of the community, so we would like to use it to also allow the community to advertise on that sign. They're doing banners in the park and things like that. We would be willing to even extend it to showcasing that type of items for the public. We do not plan on having anything flashing. It would just be being changed periodically to showcase different events that are going on inside the building as well as special that we're running. It's just to drive business and help maintain our business.
Okay. Great. And you filled out the application with those 4 tests, right?
I'm gonna be very honest with you. I took over the GM seat 1 week ago.
Lucky you.
I was the previous GM. I came back in. The former GM that was in there for the past year is the one who filled all this out.
Okay. All right.
Is that
So-
correct?
Yes.
All right. So to get you up to speed in terms of like, this is 1 weekend, all right? The way that the zoning board of appeals works is this is a request basically for a use variance, right? Which is saying that basically the use of this parcel is so unique that we need to create what's basically the equivalent of like almost spot zoning, right? Like I need my tower on the edge of this river because it's so unique, right? Or I need this sign because it's such a unique location, okay? And so the state mandates that we have these 4 tests. And that's what we go through. So the application that was filled out that you probably have a copy of, I'm sure you've gone through,
Yes.
is what we'll talk through.
Okay.
Just interject as you have questions about anything we're going on, like just to be fair about what we're doing. Okay. Great. Okay. So we have the denial based on number of colors. We have what they're trying to do. Do I have any public comment? Okay, I'm not hearing much public comment. Board members, do we have any questions for the applicant in terms of what they're thinking and things like that? Or do you want to talk through the 4 tests and see if we can go through that? Go from there.
You're the boss.
Do you want a pen? There's one.
I got
No, I
Oh.
was smooth fancy.
I know you're right.
Probably said
Exactly. All right, board, what do you guys think? Should we basically, are we okay at this stage? Should we move from the public hearing into the meeting where we discuss this application?
I think so.
Okay, all right. So what we're gonna do now, basically, that's the public hearing part. That's the part where basically we allow the public to weigh in on the idea of an EMC sign at the Best Western. The public had a lot of concerns. I received no emails. There's been no flack whatsoever in the village about this. Not heard a thing. That doesn't mean that we're gonna pass it or anything like that, but it just means we have no public comment. Okay, great. All right, so a use variance, okay? The use for which the variance requested is a full color EMC sign, okay? The image sent to us was image of a full menu of food, right? Okay, so we're talking full display, okay? In the village itself, it's a 2-color display, no flashing, and copy can only change once every 24 hours. So you could static a message up, 24 hours, you can change it to another message. Okay, that's what's currently allowed under the code. Okay, all right. All right. All right, guys, let's actually, quick question. What do you have there now? You did an overlay image. Is it just a static university in sign that just is?
It's a static sign that just has restaurants, meeting space, golf course.
Restaurant, meeting space, golf course, and how is it lit right now?
It's an LED internal, it's a 2-sided
Yeah.
sign with lights inside.
Okay, all right. Cool. All right. Is that like? All right, cool.
White with blue letter.
Yeah, that's what's white with blue. It doesn't, if I remember correctly, it doesn't pop at all when you come past it.
No.
Like it's not above the ambient light of the area necessarily, because that's a heavy ambient light area normally, because of all the parking and everything. Is that what you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what it's kind of, okay, all right, sweet. Okay. Test 1. Okay, this is where we discuss the 4 tests. This is what are in your application, but we also go through them now ourselves. We have your rationale for why you feel like these should be passed. And then these are like, basically, we go through them. This is what New York State requires us to do as a zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Just so you know, if there's any discussion at this point or anything like that, we have a full 62 days to render a full decision. Okay, New York law allows the ZBA to research more, to come back for more. Some cases are more complicated, so allows 62 days after the public hearing to just make a decision. Just so you know, timeline, that's all. All right. All right, so the permitted use of the property, they're allowed to have an EMC sign because they're at the commercial corridor, okay? So all the other conversations we had about EMCs are kind of like this is an allowed sign. Okay, just basically we're talking about straight colors. Question 1. The applicant cannot realize a reasonable return as shown by competent financial evidence. The lack of return must be substantial. The proof that the applicant offered was they feel they have a difficult time getting people in the door, marketing and getting it out, the word out to the community that basically this restaurant is open to everyone. So the question is, can they not realize a reasonable return as shown by basically are the things that are creating a financial impact? So the 5-color versus 2-color, is that, or the full color, sorry, I'm going back in time. The full color versus the 2-color, is that showing any financial implications from our perspective or that we can see? What do you guys think?
I would think that
the full color would, you see more than the two color.
Right. So full color would be better, right?
Can you explain to me what full color is?
Full color.
As many colors as they
Yep.
want. So they want to put 10. with
Yep.
it, or
They want to put, the applicant,
I realize you want to put their plates or whatever their special is that day.
yeah,
Picture of that.
yeah, the full bouquet of flowers.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to see a picture of it?
We have the,
Well, I have one here.
he has a black and white version here.
I have a color version.
Ooh, color.
Yeah, you might not want to use it as a table.
Should probably come up and sit with you guys. This is what,
Oh, okay,
the
cool.
black and white version you have is what they would be allowed. You guys want to handle this?
Let me show. Wait,
Yeah, let me just give it to
You're
you.
making me hungry now.
that's the whole.
I haven't had dinner. So.
Neither. Oh, hold it up to the owl.
Okay. That's the full color version. All right. Which you guys have seen. Okay, is there any financial evidence? I mean, full would be better. I mean, it shows a lot of things. But is there any financial evidence? Caitlin and Pete, you guys seen anything here? Refill.
I guess my question would be, if the issue is making the world aware that everybody is welcome, I'm just having a hard, how is just showing the menu for the day gonna translate or convey that to somebody that might be driving by looking for a place to eat? I mean, it was only held up briefly. Yeah, lunch special, but I don't know, is that enough of a message to say, oh, that they mean me, I can come in and have that lunch special?
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else on that one, first one?
I think Caitlin's talking, but we can't hear her.
Yep.
Cause it says you're unmuted. So I can see that you're trying to talk and it's trying to come through, but for some reason, I don't know if your microphone isn't relaying. The only other thing I can think is to put it in the chat, but that's gonna be kind of annoying.
Thought process, it's happening.
Still nothing.
Apparently.
No. Okay.
Do you want to chat it or you go okay? Okay. Yeah, actually mute yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to number 2. Okay. Number 2, the alleged hardship relating to the property is unique. The hardship may not apply to a substantial portion of the zoning district. 7:22 p.m.
Touch the watch, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I'm learning how to use it.
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Would you guys think this is unique to the property? Or does this apply to every single other property or most of the other properties in this district, this commercial corridor? Well, I think a full color EMC apply to the Best Western, it applied to Dunkin', it applied to the KFC, it applied to the bank, it applied to St. Lawrence, who has some stuff there. It applied to Stewart's, McDonald's, who has some sort of multicolored display right now, right? They pre-exist. The graveyard. That's probably not heavy usage.
Let's call it the cemetery.
Right, okay. We'll call it cemetery. Not a heavy usage there. Okay. Is that, I mean, are you guys seeing how this is unique to this parcel?
I'm. Guess I'm confused when you were mentioning all the other parcels. Unique to too.
I'm saying those are parcels that if like, that would have the same sort of request, right?
Yes.
Ace Hardware.
Ace Hardware could put up an alley. Yep.
Price Chopper. That's when Ramon.
Caitlin chimed in on number one. She said that, I thought the financial implication wasn't clear. Any thoughts on uniqueness of the parcel, the hardship?
The uniqueness there is McDonald's, everybody knows that's public. Everybody knows that Price Chopper is public. The restaurant inside the hotel is a little bit harder to convey that it is a public entity, so it is unique.
Okay. So the argument is basically that's the only restaurant in hotel
Yes,
that creates that unique aspect.
yes.
Focus on.
You'd say lunch special open to the public.
I mean, it's not necessarily going to show what's on that mock-up, but we'll do better wording than the sign company did for the.
We would expect some sort, yeah, like you'd be marketing, you'd be marketing the way you wanted to market.
Yeah,
That's just, that, but the request is for the full color.
yes.
So we completely understand that basically if you're given the right to market, then you would market. Like that's your goal. So, and our goal is not to suppress business, but it's also to make sure we match laws. Okay. Okay. Number 3. The requested use variance, if granted, would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Do you guys feel like a full color EMC would change the neighborhood?
I. And think maybe not because there's so much signage and places.
Caitlin?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna change the look and feel of the neighborhood. I mean, it's a commercial strip.
Right.
And there's already a sign there.
There's already a static sign there. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, it doesn't change that aspect.
Mhm.
Especially the full versus 2 color. Okay. The alleged hardship has been self-created. Okay, now, self-created hardships. Was money put into something and then it was stopped? Was the property received through some sort of like basically inherit the property? What was permitted use of the permit of the property when they purchased it ages ago? Basically, it was a self-created hardship. Self-created is sometimes, and now self-creation is not just because the laws exist. It's not because it's not like self-created because the law exists. It's self-created, like, is it not self-created, basically? You were dealt this hand. Not by the laws, but in general, what they say. Can I see that?
Okay.
Thanks. I'll get back to the second.
No, I think I'm fine. They look more important. They look fun. So I can.
Okay. Okay,
She just said she can't figure out her microphone.
all right, she's gonna use her nonverbal skills. Arm flapping, please, you know, faces, and we'll interpret, yeah, be good. Yeah. Self-created,
That's always a tough one for me.
that's a tough one for me too.
And,
I would say that basically, in many ways, this hardship, the desire for a better display is self-created in some ways. I think that switching to an EMC sign here instead of the static display may reach many of these goals, even with the two color. Depending what you put up there. It won't be the full imagery of a full meal, but specials or, you know, something that draws the eye could work in this situation, I believe. Basically, I feel like the progression to an EMC from the static is a huge step. Right? So I feel like the request for a full color, I would lean more towards a self-created in this situation.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
So glad I flapped my arms and then figured this out. Okay, thanks.
That's important for her. Yeah. What do you guys think? Any other thoughts on self-creation?
don't have any thoughts.
Okay. Mike's feeling being the only one here. Keep on looking at him.
It's got 2 meetings to do that too.
Yeah, you do.
You sick of me, but.
No. Oh, good.
We'll switch.
Oh, 6 sides. I like it. We'll mix it up next one. That's good. Good. Keep it real. Pete, Caitlin, any thoughts on the self-creation?
I'm in terms of the difference between just getting the EMC with 2 colors versus full color. Yeah, I'm in terms of you know what you said. I'm in agreement with that.
I also agree.
Oh,
All right. Okay. All right. So to summarize where we are on going through these 4 tests, the financial side, we do feel like full will be better than 2. However, it's a little. I felt like we were very hesitant on the financial implications of full versus 2 was a little unclear to us. Right? Does that summarize the empty room that Caitlin's in right now? Kid time.
Yeah.
Does that summarize fair, Pete? What you're thinking? Like basically, it's the financial side is a little hard. It wasn't fleshed out enough for what we're looking at for that one. Okay. The alleged hardship of the property being unique. It is a unique location, the restaurant in the hotel. It's very unique in that way. However, being a business that stretch, you could argue the other side. Where do you guys fall on that one? Is it unique? I mean,
well, I think, I don't know, that most of the other, the food places, McDonald's, and last are like, you know, I think they're more, let's say, think of the word, but where you pick up and go.
grab goes or takeaways, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this is
Sit in,
sit where you go in, and you're gonna sit down and eat a meal.
yeah.
So
I think for our area, Canton, Potsdam, if you look at the other properties, they don't have that full service restaurant.
Right.
I think so from that perspective. And I'm just thinking about, you see all the ads for, coming out of Watertown where they are full service. They're bombarding you with that messaging that, you can come in off the street and eat here. So I think from looking at our market, it is somewhat unique.
Okay. Cool. Number 3, basically, we talked about the character of the neighborhood. We didn't feel like it changed the character of the neighborhood that much. A full versus a 2. I
don't think so.
That's
So much. Signage there.
yeah. And then the idea that the alleged hardship's been self-created. We looked at that test and we kind of talked that we felt like the need for Jenny's just moving. Don't mind her. Back, so she's gonna move around a bunch. The change between a 2 color and a full color, we felt like the request was self-created in that situation. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, this was a use variance application. Now, according to New York state law, use variance applications require you to pass successfully all 4 tests because this is the equivalent of a spot zone. Okay. Now, basically, the financial evidence the board felt was not there, okay, to show that how a full color versus a 2 color would go, and that's a fail of 1 test, okay. The uniqueness, we felt like, yeah, that's great, it is unique, all right. We didn't feel like it changed the neighborhood, but we did feel it was self-created from the 2 color to the full color, okay. So based on that, on those findings, we feel that the applicant, basically based on what we have to do for New York State, we feel the applicant has failed to prove unnecessary hardship, okay, through the application of 4 tests, all right? Now, which means that we turn down this application for that and we stay at the EMC with the 2 color display, okay? Let's go ahead and run a vote. If you agree with the findings, which is the applicant failed to prove the unnecessary hardships based on our requirements for New York state law, which says that we have to pass all 4 for a use variance. So an I vote says you agree that we're turning it down, okay? So I'll start with Mike, because Mike's sitting next to me, he loves being in the hotspot.
Aye.
Great. Caitlin? Aye.
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Aye. And Conrad also says aye. There we are. Okay. Great. That will close our public meeting for this point. We're going to take a short pause for 9 minutes, and then we'll roll through to our next public hearing at 7:45. Okay. Any questions on the board before we take a short pause? No. Any questions from the applicant before we take a short pause? Thank you very much, guys. We will reconvene in 9 minutes at 7:45 for the application for 29 Main Street. Thanks.
Thank you. Very much. That's okay. I know she was like to write that whole different world.
Yeah, close time. I'll be sending an email through Tim with our receipt.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Nothing on the end of the job. Yeah.
We're done.
I mean, I was just being, but walking back and now I have some piece of paper. And then the next day I got the letter. So, okay.
Yeah, it should. That's. It's everything. You probably could have better.
We were also in challenge. That's what. Because of. Yeah. Sometimes. Shoot birds and sign their logo.
Yeah.
That's why this is the way it is. Right. Because they would force it. I would county seat. Yeah, all of the golf course. If that's what they call it. Great choice.
Yeah.
I just need your last name. I heard it, but I.
Dirk.
Yeah, you have a great night, folks. Thanks. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, you walk around some. Oh. Oh, they can come to meetings too.
We had an impromptu trip to my parents' house in North Carolina, so
Oh, no
I'm
way,
like-
really?
I will
Oh.
I'll find a computer. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
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 Hi, how's North Carolina?
We're having a fire.
Yeah?
They're out at the
Great.
fire. Are you having fun in North Carolina with Grandma and Grandpa?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Where in North, is it hot outside there?
Yeah, it's actually
Oh.
nice. I think we've had nicer weather down here than in Canton.
That's great. Well, it's been rainy here, huh?
All right, I need to wrangle some children for a second, and then I'll be back.
Go do. You're good. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, no slacking over there. UVA 21. Oh, I thought you were gonna run away, boy,
Oh, no.
do you want to trade sides?
First word is, I'm not running anywhere.
I'll start in a couple minutes. Do you have any questions?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any questions?
I don't think.
All right. Yeah, I mix it up with the names. This one's more a little small.
I've never seen that to impress me.
It's all about the glasses, dude. It's like a different person running it, hiding.
When your bull comes out, I'll be up one.
No.
Seems like they would do.
I was optimistic though. I kind of wanted to be. I won't lie to you. Yeah, we're hoping for a couple weeks in. So, yeah. Not much I can do about that.
No. I want to go through 6.5% and get raised in taxes, maybe in the county to help it.
Hopefully, right? Yeah.
Well, my son says that's that's not the same. He's a teacher and involved with what's the principal. He said the same thing.
No, yeah.
He said, I said, yeah, but you don't look at the way normal people look and I do.
Yeah.
You almost work to school on this way to be everybody. Now you can tell them we need 6.5%. So that's nothing to do with that. This is part is already settled. But as a
Doesn't matter.
normal guy,
Doesn't
I
matter.
think that.
Doesn't matter capital improvement that's basically funded by state
Yeah.
versus like the 6.5% is due to basically increasing costs across the board that you can't, that are just.
Cost of doing business.
Well, it's There's so much tied up in various costs they have to do, medical, pensions, and just destruction. It's all going to the pool. Your tax dollars right there. That's my starting talk. Just go play by that send your nieces.
Could be worse, could be longer.
Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy? Because they said they had what, a $20 million like estimate for the first flood,
Oh,
Again,
and then it happened again.
that's my own alma mater.
Is it really level? So did you move here in 80? 84, 80? So you moved right up here when you bought the place, right?
Yes.
So how's it feel for 40 years now? Ready for the next 40?
No,
Did you think it's gonna be 40 when you bought it?
no. Retired. Minimum 65. I'm 72.
Well, so
What business?
what's
What's that?
What business?
White's Farms.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I don't know people in Canton very well. I'm not from here.
his Mike's from Loudville.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's only 40 years in.
Well, I had about 2 years when I went to Canton College, and
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
you were in a pension, you might be able to buy that back from the state, it was 2 years.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
No.
You know, so it could be 42 years, but it's a,
No. Like being in college camp.
I'd say, I've done for who long, it's been a candle, but
I ran into a guy. I was at the Price Chopper in Morrisville, Vermont, driving back. Yeah, as one does, right? And this guy goes, looks at my license, is checking my ID, 'cause I'm buying beer or something like that. And he goes, Ken? I said, yeah. He's like, St. Lawrence? I said, yeah. He's like, I went there. I'm like, okay. It's like in the 70s, but only for a year, because then I had to leave. I was like, well, he's like, then I went to Utah. I skied for a while. Like, all right.
There you go.
He's like, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, no. I don't know. Yeah, kind of funny. I was like, all right. God, that's really cold. I'm like, this guy living in Morrisville, right? It's like, he goes from Canton to Utah to come back in the Morrisville.
thinks it's cold.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like, I just was a ski bum for a few years. Okay. Take my beer?
Right.
So. You just never know who you're going to wear, right? Like, okay. All right, it is 7:45. Let's go ahead and get started on the zoning board of appeals meeting. This is going to start off with a public hearing. We'll start off with introductions because we need to know who's here. And then we'll start off with our public hearing for 29 Main Street. And then we'll roll through and we'll hear why the code is turned down. This is a little bit of a different meeting. We'll talk about that in a second. But before I get started, I would like to make a quick correction. We had a typo in our public hearing. And this is a bit of an issue because it's a legal notice. Unfortunately, when I wrote it, I indicated that the parcel was in the downtown mixed use district. It is not. It is in the Main Street district. This should not change anything because the zoning laws are the same for the signs. Okay, but let's be above board. It'd be very clear that is a mistake. So if there's any appeal process later, that can be brought up if you wish. Okay, you can say they mischaracterized our zone. You say yes, we did. I'm very sorry. Okay, all right. So we are here for a public hearing about it is for an interpretation of the usage of a certain type of sign that the applicants at 29 Main Street, also referred to as Palmer Realty, would like to use. It's a type of halo type sign, and they're asking for an interpretation of how that is characterized in the code. Okay, sitting here, the Zoning Board of Appeals, I'm Conrad Stunson, I'm the chair.
Mike Snow.
Mike Snow. On Zoom, I have two other members. I have
Pete Beekman?
Pete Beekman and
Caitlin Gollinger.
Caitlin Gollinger, those are members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Recording secretary is
Jenny Reed.
Jenny Reed. Great. We also have in the room
Tim Nolan, code enforcement.
code enforcement. And then we will have names for other people. The applicants are here as well as member of the public. We'll get names in a second on those, okay? So we know who we are. All right, I'd like to go ahead and get started. Tim will address why this application was turned down, okay? And then we will go ahead and hear from the applicant about how you'd like the interpretation to be, or why you feel that the interpretation is incorrect in the situation, okay? Tim?
Yes, I denied the sign on 6/25/24. Due to the fact that the halo sign that was proposed by the applicant. This will be the only late logo sign, correct? Oh, no, it's actually gonna be
The whole thing.
it's the whole sign.
Okay, so it's a halo type sign. It is, on the image itself, it is the top part or all parts?
All parts.
All parts, okay. All right, thank you. Both Palmer
Building
Realty,
mount sign and the logo.
Right.
okay, all right,
Windsor both building mount sign.
okay. Both top and center line, okay. So that's basically on the image, guys, it's the Palmer Realty part and the logo right below it. So the part surrounding the, what, is that like a fire alarm in the middle of it?
Yeah, it is a fire alarm,
Yep, okay, great. All
not
right.
part of the sign.
Not a part of the sign. That one's lit for other reasons. Okay,
So I denied it, based on 325/65. General provisions D 2 and 3. 2, define the internally, but in 2 is internally illuminated signs or signs that derive illumination from an internal source and shall include all plastic signs lighted from behind and all awnings lighted to give the appearance of being lit within the awning. And 3, internally illuminated signs shall only be permitted in the CC, which is commercial corridor, and the TBL, which is the technology, business, and light industrial zoning districts.
okay. Great, okay, so that was pretty clear about what it was turned down for. Let's do this. Obviously, we're asking for interpretation, to be fair, right? Before we get to, no, let's hear a brief summary of why you feel like this should be done, and then we'll take public comment, and then we'll come back to discussion and go from there. Okay.
Sure.
The interpretation, just so you know, the interpretation doesn't have it's not rock solid as way some of our other variances are, the use variance or the area variance. Okay. The interpretation is asking the zoning board of appeals to make a judgment decision on the interpretation of how the code should be read. Okay. And we look at things, I mean, like how it's written, the language used, and sometimes we'll use basically our own experience with when we wrote the code or who we talked about writing the code in terms of what we're trying to do with the village. Okay. Just so we're above board in terms of what we're trying to do here. Okay. All right. And let's be very fair here. Okay. We may all agree that this is the best type of sign for this location, but we all may also feel that it doesn't pass code. Okay. All right. Those are two different things. We're not looking at what we feel is the best thing in the situation. Okay. We are looking at what the code says in this situation because we're looking at the law. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Just to be clear about, we can feel lots of things, but that's not necessarily what we're looking at. But it could be. Okay. All right. So talk to us about what we're hoping to do.
All right, so to start, referring to the code, it references all plastic signs. My signage, I'm arguing, is actually an aluminum solid letter. There's no actual light bulb internally in this letter. It's a solid aluminum letter. So it's referencing a plastic sign lighted. And so I felt that was something to at least bring to the attention there. It also indicates under the signage article number 5 that, it does seem like all backlit signs shall they are permitted. And I feel that this is more of a backlit sign opposed to an internally lit sign, you know, including like a light bulb. This is a very least offensive light to have on a storefront. It's a very low light LED system, opposed to some of the other signage that we see on downtown's main streets.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Ariane Palmer.
Thank you. I figured that, but I figured just for the record. Awesome. Alrighty. Great. So we kind of know like what we're looking at right here. We have the code, the CEO saying it's deriving illumination from an internal source. It's backlit. We have the applicant saying it's not plastic. It's not like, it's not just a lit up sign. It's a halo around a hard aluminum letter.
That is meant to be a projection on the building. You know, and that's in the schematics of that, and the technical part of that was emailed to Tim from the individual that. Yes, that's exactly that. So if that's helpful to anybody who's obviously Halo concept, I feel it's probably a new concept for some of the signage. And so for those that may not be familiar with it.
Oh, we live and breathe signs here.
Hopefully the Halo, that helps interpret what the Halo concept really is.
Thank you. Yeah. So do you know where the LEDs are mounted on the halos?
They're on the back side, so it's meant to
I mean,
shine on the back. It's-
they're reflected off the back. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So, okay. So like a halo. Okay.
It's a solid piece.
Yeah.
I'm William Palmer.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
What was the first-
Myself.
Well,
Sorry, William?
Yeah.
Thank you.
great. All right. Public comment. Let's see what else we got. So I think we have an idea of what we're talking about. Let's grab public comment and then let's talk through things, okay? And see where we can go from there. Alrighty. Any public comment? No? Okay. What's that?
We got a letter, so I was curious.
Great. Fabulous. Welcome.
Or you,
Ernie, what's your name? And your name is?
Joe, for the house.
Okay. Joel Santowski. Awesome. I do have one other public comment. This is from a Mike Dalton. His public comment is, this will be read aloud. While the legal notice was a bit confusing, I do understand issues and want to make the following comments. Code section 325, article 9, section 325.65, subsection D, 2 and 3 were used to deny a sign request. Yeah, we didn't do that. While the code section refers to internal illumination, the style of sign being proposed does not light the letters as one would think of as an internal illumination, as stated in both the subsections cited. The halo style sign illuminates the wall behind the letters and is much more subdued than several signs currently in existence today in the Main Street district. The sign as it exists now at 29 Main Street meets all the code for size, and I personally support the addition of the halo lighting. I believe this lighting style is tastefully done, will be a nice addition to the Main Street district. I would support this as designated, no matter the interpretation of internal lighting. Okay. That is the public comment that I was emailed. Okay. All right. Great. Let's debate the usage of words. If I have no more comment, we're just going to kind of talk through now with 2 on Zoom and 2 here about what it means to be backlit.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I understand solutions. After you go out now, you walk up and down Main Street. There's a lot of neon
Yep.
in all these stores.
Yep.
They do not state business name.
Yep.
But, you know, there's like kind of Berkeley, or whatever you call it, all up and down the street. You know, and it you know, from down Riverside Drive all the way through. And just looks like it's small.
Are you feeling, is this are you thinking about like smoke shop stuff?
I don't understand what, how you can differentiate, how this is allowed. I'm not defending.
No, we know. Okay.
I'm not understanding how this is allowed to have a Chinese restaurant blasting, a red lit sign out onto Main Street, two separate windows and the smoke shop and this and that. To me, it kind of defeats the purpose of what the code, is supposed to handle. So I guess my question is, what's the difference?
Okay. Let me make sure I understand the question fully. Okay.
We're talking lighted,
Yep.
lighting out onto Main Street. That's how the code reads. It's supposed to cast light out onto the street.
Mhm.
I don't understand, whether the sign's approved or not, doesn't matter to me. I just don't get why this is all allowed up and down in the store district.
So you're thinking of like the window display units or the above the storefront? Are you thinking specifically of like the things in the windows?
Yeah, there are none above it. To my knowledge, there's no lighted signs on the storefront.
Right, okay, so, all right,
But in the windows, we've gone up and down the street and everybody's got I get it, open, close, fine, but the rest, I'm having a hard time understanding why that's allowed. And the signage, the historic signage was put in place to preserve, the
The feel
look and
downtown.
so forth of that district, yet this other is allowed.
yep. Window type displays. My impression, and I'm sure that Tim would have a weigh in on this after I misspeak something. Window type displays are regulated certain type, certain size, certain colors, and certain style. The propagation of those, it has been explosive in the last couple of years. I will agree with you. And why is this being regulated differently than some of the things in the windows? These are wall mounted signs. This is what hits under the code. Those things in the windows. I know from stories that Tim has told me, he has been in some of these stores commenting and getting them to turn things off and take things down if it does not match the code that's written for the window type displays. So yeah, I mean, it's a tricky situation, right? How do you take one code enforcement officer and manage a downtown area, right? How do you manage lighting in a situation where the methodologies and technology behind lights have exploded in the last 10 years, right? 10 years ago, we'd never heard anything about halo lit, aluminum mounted LED dimmable lights, right? Also, it didn't cost, like, if you want to put a, Bud Light sign in your window, it was neon, right? And you're spending a couple $100 on this neon sign. And now you're spending $325 in shipping, right? So managing that, it's hard. I don't have why is it different? They are regulated in different ways. Tim, do you want to address it all?
You're allowed to have illuminated signs in the windows only,
So,
but the storefront, no.
yeah,
And it's just the code that came with the job, so.
So to follow up on that, so any business on Main Street could post a sign in their window stating that that's their business, whether it be, Nature's Storehouse or whatever. They could actually have a big ass neon
No.
sign.
25% of the window.
Okay, 27, well, they got a lot of window there, so they could have a big sign that
Exactly,
says Nature's Storehouse, and then that could be duplicated up and down the street. Is that correct?
that's correct.
yeah, it's a gap. Yeah, there are areas. Okay. Okay, so. So here we are with backlit signs. Okay. And, Joel, right?
Yeah?
Okay.
So,
Joe, thanks. Just making sure you got the name right, that's all. Yeah. Okay, so. What do you guys think?
Does that close the public hearing?
Let's close the public hearing and move into a public meeting where we discuss the interpretation of backlit, of what backlit sign is. Okay, the planning board saw this and it came before the planning board. They thought that they were looking at it from a perspective of as type of sign design, right? I think that they were expecting and looking in the planning department as a lit sign. Basically, you light your sign by casting light upon it, as opposed to haloing it, right? So that's, I think, that's where we ended up with basically a front lit as opposed to a haloed. Okay. So that's what the planning board turned this one down to. So the planning board has looked at this in historic district. All right, the code states. All right. All right, so internally illuminated signs are signs that derive illumination, right, from an internal source. Okay. And then they say, shall include all plastic signs lit from within. But I think that type of sign would be like the old static plastic, display. Okay. So is this sign receiving illumination? Is this type of sign receiving illumination from an internal source? Is it? So one thing it says in 325D5 is all backlit signs show a dark background. Okay, only the letters and or messages the area should be illuminated. Okay, but that's like I think that's more like a shadow. Like it's still projecting out, right? As opposed to projecting at the. Mike, Caitlin, Pete, any thoughts on this?
I got a question for Ariane. Ariane, this whole piece is up, it's a sign that goes over the door. It's all one piece.
Those are individual aluminum letters.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
But
Mike, are you referring to right here at the top?
yes,
So that's the window.
Just
No.
It's
No,
just
reflection.
the only part of my signage is the lettering that you see.
that's, oh, okay.
That is.
Okay.
So-
I was wondering, I don't know if this was.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's, so the Palmer Realty and the PR are both the parts we're talking about being.
They're all aluminum solid letters.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Mike's question was about the, basically whether the Palmer Realty, whether that part was aluminum as well. And it is, that's not just stuck on there or anything like that. That's aluminum offset from the building right now. With the idea of haloing, and same with that one. Okay, is that correct? What can we do to figure out to make this easier for ourselves? What questions do we have? What? this is the boring part where you guys like kind of watch us staring at this and thinking like it's not, you're asking for interpretation.
Well, it's not plastic and it's not like a plastic box with the lights inside, correct?
Right.
And that's kind of what the code is implying. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, that would be the interpretation, right?
Yeah.
Internally illuminated signs,
Right,
right?
right.
Is this it?
So this
Is-
is individual metal aluminum letters with LED lights on the back facing the building. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So illumination refers to any sign illuminated by artificial light, either from interior or exterior of a sign. Okay. Internally illuminated signs, I mean, includes all plastic signs, but it doesn't distinguish only plastic signs.
Mhm.
And all awnings lighted to give appearance being lit from within the awning. Okay. Signs to derive illumination from an internal source. I mean, okay. The code says internally illuminated signs shall only be permitted in the CC and TBL districts. Okay? That's what the code says, right? The applicant, if I understand correctly, is saying it should not have been interpreted as an internally illuminated sign because it's a different type of sign. Okay, right? Okay, great. All right, I just want to make sure I'm processing the correct, like what I was trying to say. Tim, do you have anything that you want to jump in at this point? Is there anything that you wanted to add? Are you okay right now?
Oh, I just wanted to say that comment for Joe, it was, window signs shall not exceed 20%, not
Okay.
25%,
20% of the window.
not 20, not 25.
Okay,
Just to clarify.
okay, thanks. Um. So. All right, part 4, lighting directed towards the sign should be shielded, so luminance either the face of the sign does not shine directly into the public right away or on a property other than a lot on which the illumination is situated. Okay, so seems to me 325.65 4, right? Kind of, if that's the heart of what we're trying to do with this code, basically say we're trying to shine the light towards the building. Okay, so is a halo sign internally illuminated? The nice thing about the use variance or area variance through these 4 or 5 tests we can go through and answer questions about interpretation. There's no real guidance for us in terms of like what's the best way to approach this. What does it mean to be internally illuminated?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Please.
Like, if they just wanted a spotlight on the sign, would that be allowed?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because that's in keeping with the other ones in the area, I think, right, Tim? They could,
Yes,
yeah, that's what I thought.
I think that's what number 4 is saying.
That's what I thought too. What does it mean to be internally illuminated? Okay, if it's internally illuminated, well, illumination refers to any sign illuminated by artificial lights, okay? They are signs that derive illumination from an internal source, internally illuminated, okay? All right. What do people think? Any new thoughts?
Please ignore those messages that are showing up on my computer. It's my son texting me.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm gonna tell him. I need it.
I'm just visually at Main Street right now, and are there internally lit signs there now that probably were grandfathered before this code went into effect?
Let's walk up it.
I'm thinking like the community bank.
So we need Andy.
Yes, community bank maybe, yeah. That's probably internally lit.
Signage was new.
Direct signage is new. We just passed that.
That was internally lit.
Yeah, it was internally lit. The gas station
I believe there's lit awnings too.
at
Lit awnings, I'm sure.
lit awnings, there's a backlit awnings.
They're lit within, right here that you read,
Yeah, they're
Well, I know the code says which buildings is thinking of.
neighboring buildings.
Cascade,
What's that?
Cascade.
H&R Block.
H&R
Oh,
Yeah, okay, yeah,
or nice and
Oh, the Sonoma Gorge, like the gas
Yeah,
station
yeah,
across
gas
from us.
station,
H&R Block is just down the road.
7-Eleven,
7-Eleven.
yeah. Now it's 7-Eleven. It's hard to keep track which one it is. It's one of those.
One of those.
So it started nice and easy. They got the variance and then they moved through. Now it's
7-Eleven.
Yeah. Now it's 7-Eleven. So yeah, there are a few internally lit, but then you have the ones who are like the knots, right? You know, Bagelry, or sorry, Nature Storehouse, I'm sorry, Park Brothers now, right? Park Brothers, I'm not sure what Indian Express is.
Oh, they have a sign that a light that shines on.
I think that
They have light, neon lights on windows.
Yeah. Movie
But that's
theater,
essentially what ours is, right? It's a light shining on the building. It's not a lit sign lighting the building.
well, that's the heart of what we're debating, right?
Right.
Okay, so the request was for interpretations. Your argument is that the halo is a lit on the building. That it's just mounted behind the letters.
To be the least offensive lighting possible.
And then the code, it was read by both the planning board and the code enforcement officer that was a internally illuminated sign. So that's why we're here.
Right.
That debate is exactly why we're here. It's like, that's what it is. I think that, I mean, personally, if I was looking at this from a impact to the neighborhood, I'd be like, no, it's great, looks good, right? I don't mind I'd agree with Mike Dalton on this, like, it's a nice sign for the location. But unfortunately, the question before us is, what does the code say? The interpretation of the code is a halo sign. You know, is a halo sign internally illuminated. So my father has a saying, he's like, sausage is yummy to eat, but it's never fun to watch being made. So I feel like I'm making sausage here. Like, just like, what does this mean?
That's me.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I agree with your father on that.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Meetings, we sit around staring each other, but what's so much fun. Love those meetings. Yeah, go walk. Yeah, you gotta move. Caitlin, do you have any thoughts on this?
I have thoughts, yes.
You often have thoughts.
Yes, it's sometimes a good thing, but I'm like just finding it really difficult. Like, I think I just go back to the fact that like a spotlight on the building would be allowed. And so essentially, like, I do feel like this is almost like a spotlight on the building. There's just letters there. So I'm having a hard time, like, I think some of the other people of the public are like, how would a spotlight be allowed that would have this like a similar effect? It could have a similar effect, but I don't know. I'm struggling.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'll just jump on what Caitlin just said. It just seems to me that if the light was in front of the letters, thumbs up. But because it's behind the letters, it's not meeting the code. And I guess for me, I guess I'm taking the literal of internally is that it's an enclosed sign and it's lit internally. And I guess that's where, at least in my mind, there's a differentiation there in terms of what they're proposing. That's just me personally.
Right. Okay.
My personal feelings. And again, I'm related on the halo sign or that type of thing. I realize what the sign is, all kinds of. With all the other, I'm not a big fan of the neon signs in the windows. That, all that other, like, I just don't see where, I mean, I know what the code says that this is gonna be invasive or anything else. Other than just, it looked nice, like Mike said, on the building. Because of everything else so. That's my personal feelings, but we have a law that we have to consider.
Bit weird. Yeah. What is, I mean, so if we look at it and say, if we're leaning towards an interpretation, if we're interpreting a halo style sign not to be internally illuminated, okay? Right? And that's like, let's be fair, can I put a sign in almost any district that's halo style? I mean, anywhere I can put a sign with a front light, right? I can put a halo style sign. Is a halo style sign more invasive than a front light style? Is it changing the look and feel? Is it not where you're trying to go with the code in this, in the historic district in the main street?
Well, if you want a little side lighting from the outside
Yeah.
shining on that, where would you put the lights? I mean, I'm saying,
Which is what you get into with some of the other
And then
signs on
again-
Main Street.
and again, you got one, maybe two lights shining on this thing, sticking on this building somewhere. I think this is less gonna look nicer than having two lights shining on, you know what I mean? It just, or in the historical aspect of it. But again, I was,
yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. That's, you know, when it comes down to like, all right. Tim.
Yeah.
Question for you. Signs with illumination. Is that allowed in most districts?
Well, according to 325/65/3,
Well, that's only internally illuminated.
internal, well, then you're allowed window signs, and I think they're not specifying, number 7 is not specifying
No.
which district. The only code reference, the only district, the only code reference that reference a district is that 325/65/3. That's the only. Like number 2 defines the internally illuminated sign, and number 3 tells you where they're permitted. So if you have an internally illuminated sign, I think you stop at 3.
Right. But if it's not, if there's an argument that a halo style sign is not an internally illuminated sign. So if that's the interpretation, that's the argument, then a halo style sign could be put anywhere. Because the only place that talks about lighting of signs is this section here, 325/65D 4.
Well, 5 talks about backlit signs.
Right. And does anyone have an explanation of what a backlit sign would look like? It says a backlit sign shall have a dark background. Okay. Only the letters and or message area of the sign shall be illuminated. So it's like red letters on like a black thing,
I guess so.
but how's it like, what does it mean backlit? Whenever possible, backlit signs should be constructed flush with the building facade. How is a backlit sign different than an internally illuminated sign?
I have to Google that.
I thought I tried that one, I got confused. Just for process, we have 62 days to come up with a final decision based on New York law. Okay. It's slow sometimes. Okay, especially when you ask challenging questions like what is backlit and what does it mean to be a halo versus a internally illuminated, which is probably from your perspective not complicated and shouldn't take us forever. Which is fair. I mean, that's why you're the applicant. And any thoughts, guys, on what a backlit sign is versus a internally illuminated? I have nothing. I'm trying to figure out like what does 5 look like? What is 5 actually what? So is that what's hitting us? I don't know what that means.
yeah,
Here's what they're saying in backlit sign. Only, let me see, only the letters of the message of the signs shall be illuminated. They're basically saying the sign's illuminated, but they want to have a dark background to highlight the sign. And how is that different from an internally illuminated sign?
So is that like, how is a backlit sign different from an internally illuminated sign?
I don't think, well, I think they're the same because it says only letters of the message, only the letters and or the message area of the sign shall be illuminated. So basically you're saying the background can't be illuminated, just the letters itself, and why is that different from an internally illuminated sign? And why did they put that in there? I don't know.
I think that's where I'm struggling with, because if the halo sign is considered a backlit sign, right, where only the letters are illuminated, which is what's happening.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I don't, like, this is like a backlit sign. This is code area 325.65D number 5. Okay. 325.65D5 is about backlit signs. And this was originally turned down because it was interpreted as a internally illuminated sign. And then the applicant is saying, well, halo is not really internally illuminated. And I would like clarification on what a backlit sign is. Because a backlit sign, only the letters of message should be illuminated, which seems what a halo does. But what does it mean to have a dark background? Does like the building have to be black? Like, I don't like.
That's what they're saying. They're not saying black, but they're saying it's
Dark.
dark.
Maybe oil.
Probably
Just
like a
a
dark
good
gold color.
Are you going dark gold? Yeah, okay. I was going tan, but okay, we can go dark gold.
It's called heritage something, to be precise.
As long as it's the right color palette, then we're good.
It's not white.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah, but thank you. Right. Yeah, yeah. Um. Well, I mean, there's a couple things here, right? We could, just be like, all right, we think halo signs are not internally illuminated, right? But, and then basically, say, all right, well, we feel that the interpretation was incorrect in that case. That is a route we could take. And the halos are okay. We could take a route where we say, what is backlit sign? What does that actually mean? And should it be interpreted under 5 as opposed to 2 or 3? And basically do more research. I mean, we can do more research. Like, this is a fair thing to do. Or we can say we're comfortable with the idea of this, or we're comfortable with saying, nope, based on the spirit of way this code is written. I think the code is written pretty clearly, saying that we're trying not to have light coming out projecting into the street off these signs, right? That's kind of what the goal is with the signs on it. And so we could say, look, we feel like, a halo is internally lit and it's interpreted correctly, and we're comfortable with that interpretation. We have a couple different options here. We could table it we are meeting next month. We can do more research. We pick it back up again to look at a true definition of what a backlit sign is. We could say we're comfortable with an interpretation, but I think I need a little more guidance, like, on what we think about this, guys. Like, interpretations are tough ones.
Are we to table it and research it?
Mhm.
Are we gonna come up with the same conclusion?
What we'd have to do is we'd have to make a decision at that point. If we table it for a month, we'd have to actually do a little research, figure out what a backlit sign is. We might have to reach out to the sign manufacturer or something like that to come up with a little more ideas about, like, what's the definition, or like do a little more research. What is a backlit versus an internally illuminated sign? Yeah, Caitlin.
I did find just a little bit of research now from like a sign company that kind of describes the difference between that and the reverse channel signs and stuff too. So I think I'd be in favor of, I know, like, I could share what I've already found. And I think if we had a little bit more time and just putting more thought into this is kind of where I'm leaning, because I feel like it does deserve more. If we're like interpreting if we're interpreting this, that's going to have lasting implications. I feel like we want to be a little bit more cautious, maybe.
Okay. So, I mean, are we really truly looking at, like, what is a backlit versus internally illuminated? Is that what we're looking at? And how Halo signs fit into those categories? Is that what we're trying to figure out?
That seems to me that's where the discussion was headed, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I think we should. I mean, you know, you just said to me something telling in that the code was written to prevent light coming in, you know, to the road or to the streetway.
Right.
That ultimately that's the objective of how these codes were, I think, developed. We just don't want a lot of obnoxious light pouring out the front of a building into Main Street.
Right.
So I think we should probably take the time to look a little bit more at it. You know, and again, I'm coming back to, if anything, this is probably lessening the amount of ambient light that would be projected onto Main Street versus just having a sign out there with a couple of floodlights blaring on it. So, but I think we need to, you know, this is the law. I think we need to dig into the backlit, internally lit discussion a little bit more to see if there's some better guidance out there.
Okay. So I'm hearing from people that we should take a little time this next month, pick this up again on our next meeting, and try to come up with a solution at that point. Is that correct? Okay, that's what I heard from everyone. All right.
I'm just afraid that, I don't know. I'm not gonna come back with a conclusion. We're gonna be right where we are now. That's the.
Okay. I think that I think you might be right. But I'm also very comfortable taking a little more time now. We've all addressed the issues, thinking about it and coming back on interpretation. We're being at an interpretation. So we're being asked to, the code enforcement officer, the planning board have both interpreted the code this way. The applicant has said, we don't feel like that's a fair interpretation. Okay. I feel like the board now understands where our parameters are. And I'd like to take a little time.
I think, yeah.
But we may have the
It's
same,
only fair to everybody involved.
Right.
We do that.
but we may have the same spot. You're right.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
but then we vote, so.
Yeah, but exactly.
We tried, our best then.
Right. I think due diligence is to try, and then we vote, and then we do our best. Okay?
Okay, I'm okay with
All right,
that.
cool. Okay, then, all right. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and table this. We're gonna look at as a board, we'll look at backlighting and illuminate and internally illuminate the difference thereof and how halos fit into that design. And that's kind of where the applicant was. They talked to us about that and the code enforcement and planning. But let's look at that difference between like how 2 and 3 and 5 all play together, like basically figure out what's going on. Okay, great. All righty. Well, that's that. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. We'll be discussing you again during our meeting on the 19th. 18th, thank you, 9/18. If you're welcome to come back and watch, or you're welcome to just wait.
But thank you guys for your time and consideration.
You're welcome. Thanks for bringing forward new science for us to talk about. All right, thanks for your time, guys. Thanks.
Help us in the long run, I'm sure we'll be down this road again.
It's good to have this clarity. Get through there. All right. Thanks, Kate.
All right,
Thanks,
I have a
Kate.
5-year-old and a 2-year-old out by a fire, so I better go.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Awesome. Bye.
Good night. Yeah.